I would say shutting down a business that was making me anywhere from $20,000 to $60,000 a month was probably harder than actually building it. And today I'm going to share with you the story of why I started it, how I grew it, and ultimately why I decided to shut it down after about 2 years of working on it. I'm going to give you a tiny bit of background so you have some context, but I started a video business when I was like 17 years old. And so I had basically tried every different industry, commercials, real estate, music videos, weddings. It didn't really matter. I tried like everything. And I ended up actually moving out to Los Angeles because I did find some success as a music video director, and I helped an artist grow to millions and then started working with a bunch of big artists. Did that for a few years in Los Angeles, had some success in terms of views. I mean, I've generated over 250 million views on my music videos, but I was extremely broke. I wasn't making money from it. And honestly, I was living like super month to month and somehow made a living with my camera. Well, COVID happened and kind of just wiped that whole thing out because music industry kind of shut down. And ultimately, I just moved back to Kansas, which is where I'm from, and kind of just was trying to figure it all out. So at this point in my career, I'm like 6 years in, and I was just so tired of being broke. Like early on in my career, I had some success. I bought a Red camera when I was like 18 years old, saving up a bunch of money because I had no expenses and I was making money as a high schooler. But once I started, getting hit by the normal life expenses and, growing up and also just chasing my dream to be a music video director, I cut off a lot of my income streams. How I saved up for the Red camera was actually by shooting weddings. That was one of my main income streams. I had, lots of different kinds of videos I was doing. I had this idea in my head, like, oh, I shouldn't have stopped doing weddings. Like weddings was a really good moneymaker. I should have kept doing it, all this stuff. I had this idea in my head, right? And so after a year being back in Kansas, trying an ad agency, even though I didn't know how to run fucking ads, I don't know why I decided to try to run an ad agency. Trying music videos locally, which was even worse than in LA. Ultimately, I was just like, man, I got to find a way to make money. I was just so goddamn tired of being broke. And so I leaned back into the thing that I used to do, which was weddings. I was like, all right, I'm going to get this thing going again. And it takes a while to get going because you book weddings like really far in advance. Because I was still doing weddings, by the way. I started doing them like when I first moved back, and I started having a friend help me with it. And I was like, yo, if I would have just kept doing weddings and like scaled it up and, built a team around it, I could have grew this thing. And so I had this idea in my head, and this is important, and you'll see later as to why. But I had this idea in my head of like, yo, if I just went all in on the weddings and scaled this up, I could probably make some good money doing this. And the honest truth is that's the reason I started it. I was tired of being broke. I wanted to make money, and I had made money in the past doing this. And so I went all in on it. So after about a year of being back, I cut off all my other income sources. I stopped doing music videos. I stopped doing anything else. And I just went all in on weddings. But I just got rid of everything. I sold the car I had. I just like went all in on this thing. And I ultimately ended up moving back into my parents' house and went all in on creating this wedding video company. I bought a bunch of courses and stuff on how to market and all these other things. And at some point in time, I'm going to say about 7 months into me going all in on this. And again, I'm like barely making it by. Like I'm booking like one wedding, maybe 2 weddings a month. And if you want to know what happened, well, I just made a video like last week about how I actually scaled the hell out of this business really, really fast. Well, after like 7-8 months of nothing happening, it kind of skyrocketed up. If you want to go watch that video, I'll put a link in the description. We literally scaled from $7,000 to $60,000 a month in literally in 30 days. I'll briefly touch on that. I'm not going to go super in depth because again, like the whole point of this is to tell you why I stopped doing it, but learned how to multiply my marketing. I hired a virtual assistant and we just went ham, like 10x my marketing and therefore like 8x our revenue. This is my first time seeing real business growth. I went from like barely making like payments on like courses I was paying for and like my bills and stuff. I went from like literally barely covering that to putting 50 grand into my bank account like in a month. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the next month did the same thing. I think we made like 45 grand the next month. So we did like over $100,000 in 2 months. Like once we started ramping this thing up, I had never seen money like this in my life. Like I'd probably, the maximum amount of money I'd ever made was maybe like $8,000 in a month, $7,000 in a month. And just like, randomly, it's not like something recurring or anything. Yeah, I just started putting tons of money in my bank account. Like it was so crazy. I was like, I couldn't spend the money. Like every time I was like, oh, I'm going to buy a new camera. It's like $3,000. Boom, it's replaced the next day. Like it just changed my whole perspective on money at the time. Well, it started really well. Now, I could make a whole video, and I probably will make a whole video about what I would have done now, knowing what I know about business and why I easily could have scaled this business to $100,000+ a month. But I tried changing too much. That's the core of it. I started trying to tweak too much instead of just sticking with what was working. But after I started making some good money, after literally just a few months, I started getting this whisper in the back of my head. Something started happening, but I couldn't shake this feeling that I didn't really want to do what I was doing, but the money was so good that I kind of just ignored that. Like I was just like, whatever, like, it's just doubt or whatever in my head. I didn't know exactly what was going on. Now, obviously we were making a lot of money with sales, but then the fulfillment aspect started to kick in, where obviously we had to fulfill on all the projects and all the contracts that I was, making. This is when things started getting like really, really overwhelming and really busy. I could talk to you all day about that, but the point is I wanted the money, but I started realizing I didn't want the work that came along with it. Starting to make sales started to conflict because I was like, I want the money, but I don't want to do the work. And so I started having this conflict where I wasn't making sales like I was before. My close rate started dropping like crazy. And I didn't realize this it took me years to realize like what was actually happening over time, like why I wasn't making the sales like the way I wanted to. Because here's the honest truth. We never cleared $60,000 a month ever again. Like in that business, we never cleared it again. We hit it the first month that we scaled, and then I chased it for the next 2 years, trying to recreate that, trying to make the same amount of money. I could tell you all the technical reasons as to why I couldn't hit it again. There's a bunch of like numbers and stuff involved, but really ultimately what it was is, one, I actually didn't want the work. I didn't want to do the work that came with the project. I just wanted the sale. And secondly, the thing that I didn't understand actually until more recently was that I kind of like checked off the box that I wanted to check off. Like I had this idea in my head that, yeah, if I go all in on the wedding stuff and I scale it up and stuff and it can make a lot of money and all this. And I did that. Like I did that, and it actually happened faster than I thought it would. And basically I started building the thing that I saw in my head, and it finally happened. I did finally start making money with that. I built a team around it. What came within the next year is I got everything that younger me always wanted. I moved into a nice apartment. I never had my own apartment ever. I'd always lived with friends or, whatever. Like I always had some kind of weird situation going on. Moved into my own apartment with like the city skyline view. I bought a car that I really liked. I bought a Camaro, and I did all the like things that young me like deemed important, like the material things and like the lifestyle. And so I got all those things. And then of course, as you know, it didn't really make me that happy. It's not as exciting as you think it will be. It's always this mystical thing in your head, but then in reality, it wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be. And I basically just completed that layer of my purpose, the thing that I always wanted to do. I achieved all of it, making more money than I could ever have dreamed of. I was living where I wanted to live. I had the car, and the reality was funny because like looking back on it, it's not even that much money in all reality. But about 3 or 4 months into actually scaling up this business, I started getting this like whisper in the back of my head and started really questioning it. I was like, what am I even doing this for? What's the difference between 20K and 50K a month? Like it's still way more money than I'd ever need, or what, stuff like that. Just had this weird internal conflict that started. And I was fully convinced that I was just being a bitch. Like I was like, okay, you just need to push through the doubt, And I actually lived like super monk mode for a year when I moved into that apartment. Actually, I'll make another video about it, but I basically lived in an empty apartment and did monk mode. Like I just had this like super regimented schedule and meditated every day and all this fun stuff. And I just kept pushing through that feeling and that voice in the back of my head of like, maybe this isn't what I want to do. But ultimately after a couple of years, I realized like that voice wasn't just doubt. It was actually like what I should have been listening to. And I think that now I look back on it, in a lot of the failures that we had and a lot of the issues that we had in terms of like, why can't we scale back up and why can't we get past 60K a month? Like it's such a blessing in disguise, because I would be locked into that business for so much longer, would have had so much more fulfillment to deal with. And we had so many issues and so many, like, it was a fucking roller coaster. I mean, that's what building a business is. Sometimes we dip down to, 20K, 15K a month. Sometimes we'd all go all the way back up to $56,000 a month. We couldn't keep it consistent, first off, because we just had constant issues. Facebook ad accounts getting shut down. We had Facebook groups we're getting banned from. I hired a closer. He disappears. It was just like crazy stuff all the time. And that's just what building a business is. In order to actually make this business run, I had to hire a VA. Ended up being multiple VAs at one point. I had to hire an editor, and then it turned into multiple editors and building an editing team. I had to hire shooters from all around the country. I had to train them. I had to build systems. And then, of course, on the marketing side, I hired a salesperson at one point. I learned how to run Facebook ads. I learned how to get leads. I learned how to convert leads onto calls, and I learned how to close people. I did thousands of sales calls. And so all of this to say, I don't regret building it at all, even though I no longer run it, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. I don't regret building it at all. I mean, all the experience that I gained, the money that I made along the way, the confidence that I built by building this business is something that obviously money can't buy. So ultimately, why did I shut it down? Well, once I had achieved the goals that I wanted, I hit financial goals that I wanted to hit. I built the lifestyle that I wanted to build. It just kind of felt like that chapter was over, and I kept trying to recreate it. Like I said, I kept trying to ramp the business back up, try to scale further, but I just couldn't get it to work. No matter what happened, there was always something. I'm not a super religious person, but I do believe that God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, was stopping me from succeeding for my own safety, for my own path. And I went through a lot of trouble to get to where I was, but ultimately, if it had worked out, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. I probably would be in a much worse situation, and I'd be much further into this business than I'd like to be. I share all of this because everyone on the internet likes to share how amazing their life is and how much money they make and their amazing businesses. But the truth is, under the hood, most people won't admit how tough building their business actually was, and the issues that they have, or the actual amount of profit that they're taking home. A lot of people won't tell you this stuff. Shutting the business down was really hard because my ego was tied up in this. To not ever see below $10,000 a month coming into your business when I, again, was broke for 7 years previously, I was really tied up in that. My ego was really tied up in that. Not making more money every single month just hurt me really bad. I was like, oh man, I'm a failure or whatever. So to basically actively shut the thing that I was doing down, to slowly lower the amount of money we were making down to literally zero. At one point, we just stopped making money. I turned off all the ads, stopped doing sales calls. I just completely shut it down. And some people would tell you, you should smooth out the transition and make more money so you can jump into the next thing. That's just not how I roll. That's not how I've ever done anything. I typically will burn the bridge and restart and go all in on something new. That's just how I've always found success. This is a story of how I built a business that was making a lot of money, at least for me. Ultimately, how it was just unaligned to what I actually wanted out of my life and who I wanted to be. If you look at the beginning of the story, you know that I created this in this survival mode, need state of I need to make money. And so once I actually did start making money, I realized I didn't actually want to run this business. I didn't even really want to do what I was doing. I just wanted to make the money. And so once I made the money, well, I no longer wanted to do it. And so it just became this weird game of I'm making a lot of money, but I don't really like this. I'm very thankful because most people in their lives will never see enough money in a short period of time for their head to go above the clouds, where they can actually think clearly and not think in survival mode, actually understand what abundance feels like, enough to get this clarity. Because there's this feeling that you get whenever you have a lot of money sitting in your bank account, you have a lot of runway, you're not in survival mode, you're not worrying about money. There's this weird clarity that comes over you, and I promise you think completely differently. And once I got there, I just started questioning everything. I was like, what do I want my life to look like? You start thinking long term when you actually have money in your bank account. And I just never experienced that, really, honestly. And so from that point of clarity, I realized that, I don't really want to do this. But instead of listening to that voice, I just pushed through it. And I just was fuck it. I'm going to go make more money. And it's actually interesting how this is not that long ago. I was 24. I'm 26 now, so it's only been 2 years. But I look back on that 24-year-old kid and I just laugh. Like I just laugh at that young version of me who just wanted the money so bad that I was willing to do whatever just to build it, just to get it. And I wanted this lifestyle and this look and all these things. I wanted it so bad that I was down to just do whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting how much I've matured in the last 2 years. Building that business obviously made me have to grow up quite a bit because it was a lot of work. I had a full team. I was learning how to manage people, hire people, build systems, deal with, unhappy customers when things hit the fan, when people drop the ball, people fuck up. Like, just a part of running a business, I suppose. And so I think I've had to mature a lot in that sense. This kind of leads me to where I am today. So I started kind of shutting this business down about a year ago. And so we're actually finishing a few last contracts. I have a few more contracts this year that my team's going to be fulfilling on. But other than that, I'm basically done with it. I have a buddy of mine who's kind of taken it over, and he's running it as kind of a side business for him. I'm still doing some weddings and stuff like that. But now I'm helping business owners with video, using video as a tool. And so, for instance, like I'll share like one of my clients, his name is Mike. He has his own multi-7-figure business, and he's started a basically consulting business, helping other people in the same space. And so I've been helping him to create videos and create content for social media and basically create an entire funnel out of content to generate sales. And so he's done, I think, around $50,000 in sales now with the videos that we've been creating. So that's been cool to see. So I basically think that all the stuff that I learned from building this wedding video agency is basically turned into me being able to create the same like content marketing systems for business owners. So that's where I'm at today. If you watch my YouTube videos, you'll kind of see some of the things that I do, and you can learn more about that there. If you're a business owner and like a serious business owner, not like someone starting a drop shipping business or some shit, no offense. Yeah, if you're a serious business owner and you want help with your content marketing so you can aggressively scale your business and something that you actually like, then go ahead and book a call with me. Usual YouTube stuff. But yeah, check out my other content if you want to learn about how to create high quality videos. My almost 10 years of professional video production experience has lent me pretty well into making high quality content. So if you want to learn how to make high quality content, you want to learn how to make videos that actually convert, then go ahead and follow me here on YouTube, or subscribe, is that what people say? I sound like a fucking old man at this point. I'll probably be making in the near future, this September will be my 10 years of professional video experience. I'll probably be making a video about all the lessons that I've learned from that. That should be a fun one. That'll be my next video. That'll be more chill like this. The rest of it, I'm on my content grind, my maybe a couple times a week videos, sharing my information. Yeah, that's it. I think that's all I got. Pretty unstructured. I might need to remake this video another time with like more structure, but we'll see. Overall lessons, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Life is way too damn short to do things that we don't want to do. Doesn't matter how much money it makes you. Doesn't matter how good it makes you look. If you don't feel good about it, you don't feel happy about it, doesn't make you enjoy your day-to-day life, it's just not worth doing. Do what you want to do. That's all it comes down to. That might require you to take a loss for a short period of time so you can actually move forward and enjoy your life. That's what I had to do. That's what I'm still doing. Eating the shit again. So that was my experience. If you want to hear more stories of my insane life, then feel free to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.